Did you know that the Lego Group, worth $14 billion, one of the most influential brands in the world, didn't invent Lego bricks?
Wait, what did he just say?
These little pieces that let you build huge castles, entire cities, or even a Formula One car.
I don't believe you.
Seriously. Because what I'm holding in my hand here aren't actually Lego brand bricks. It's a replica of the cubes from the original inventor, which also snapped together, thanks to which you could build bakeries, churches, mills, tanks, trains, just wherever your imagination took you. And even though the inventor had it patented, the owners of Lego copied it so well that at first glance, you can't even see any difference between them, right? And once they had that copy, this tiny little company making wooden duck toys on the verge of bankruptcy became the biggest toy manufacturer on the planet, with an annual turnover of over 10 billion euros. Well, there's only one question left. How is it possible that out of all those billions of combinations, I always end up with the same little house? I'm confused. Only one question remains.
How did Lego manage to do that, Philip?
The story of one of the world's most famous brands begins just like a fairy tale. Except it's the one about the cursed princess. Because the life and business of carpenter Olkirk Christensen, the youngest of 13 siblings from a poor farming family, were anything but sunshine and rainbows. In his tiny workshop in Billund, Denmark, he made ladders, tables, and furniture for other poor farmers in the area. Because he didn't have proper distribution, because he wasn't selling in 130 countries around the world like the Lego Group does today, he significantly limited the number of potential buyers. And besides, the customers he did have were price sensitive, so he could never really make much money off of them. Be really careful with that kind of combination in business. You'll save yourself a lot of trouble right off the bat. So it didn't take long for him either, and like a true startup guy, he burned out. Not once, but several times. And I mean that literally. The first time, his little sons were playing with matches in the workshop, which set all the wood and sawdust on fire. And it all happened really fast, before firefighters could extinguish the fire. The Christensen family lost absolutely everything, including the house they lived in. The second time, Ole was surely devastated inside, when his wife passed away and he was left to raise their 4 sons on his own. And the third time was when the Great Depression hit, and suddenly there was hardly any interest in his furniture. But as it often happens, the best ideas usually come to you in the toughest situations. Since Ole didn't have a job or any money to buy toys for his boys, he started whittling for them, out of all those scraps, cars, trains, yo-yos, and all sorts of rolling animals on wheels. And since the boys really liked them,
It's nice.
he tried selling them to other kids too, and started a new business. To get more people to buy them, Ole came up with the brand name Lego, which is short for the Danish phrase Legot, meaning play well. And he had absolutely no idea that Lego means to gather in Latin. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, okay? So Ole and his 7 employees started focusing on making wooden toys, and just a few years later, they were known throughout the country for their top-notch craftsmanship. Finally, things went well. The business ran like clockwork. What could go wrong?
No. Wait.
And so, fate intervened, and his workshop burned down completely for the second time. Once again, he had to pick himself up, rebuild the entire factory from the ground up, but at least this time he had his brand and a reputation as an expert. So after the war in 1946, he was looking for a way to further expand his portfolio. He went to an exhibition in Copenhagen, where he bought a machine for molding solid plastic. This meant they were no longer limited to the slow, manual production of wooden toys. They could finally scale up for real. They were literally turning out all those trains, cars, and animals like on an assembly line. They also started making a plastic tractor in 2 versions. There was one version that was already assembled, and another that you had to put together yourself. Over 100,000 units were sold, more than in over 20 years of producing wooden duck toys, and it instantly became the biggest hit in the company's history. However, Ole knew he was at the beginning of something huge, something that he needed to pay more attention to experiment with more. That's exactly when his son Godfred remembered those plastic bricks and blocks that his dad had gotten at the exhibition I mentioned earlier as samples, showing everything their new press could produce. These little bricks were made and even patented by the company Kitacraft, but only in Britain, not in Denmark. So Lego copied them one-to-one and started selling them without breaking the law and without the director of Kitacraft even knowing about it. That's business ethics, huh? But to be thorough, those British Kitacraft bricks look a little too inspired by another brand, the American company Alga Plastics. No, I'm not joking, and I didn't make a mistake. Alga had nothing to do with Lego. However, Alga also started making plastic bricks as a copy of its own wooden version, which they had also patented. But even before them, there was another brand. Mini Bricks, again from Britain, also had pieces you could use to build models, except they were made from a kind of rubber, like the erasers kids have on their pencils today. But even these rubber bricks showed up, almost a year after another company, Build-O-Brick from America, had already been making them. It's simply highly likely that everyone kept copying and improving on each other, one after another, to the point where nobody could keep track of it anymore. But if there were so many companies and competitors in much bigger and wealthier markets, even with a 15-year head start, why is it that you don't recognize any of those brands, and Lego is the one that won the competition? To understand this, we have to do something really important. Let's take a look at this Kitacraft brick from underneath. Do you see that? There's nothing there, and because of this design, since it was hollow inside, the building blocks never held together. They would often fall apart. So old son kept thinking and thinking about it, until he came up with one key innovation: these pipes. Thanks to them, the studs on top have more options for what they can latch onto, and this is the reason why the whole thing, compared to Kitacraft, holds together better. Such a simple yet important invention.
Not as easy as it looks, is it, son?
And when Lego finally solved the problem of their designs falling apart, of course they went and patented it everywhere, from America through Europe, all the way to Australia, so that no one could accidentally copy their invention.
Right, yeah, of course.
They filed the patent application on January 28, 1958, and that's exactly why this day of the year is considered International Lego Day. They're celebrating their birthday. But before the patent office could approve it, one more important thing happened. They burned down for the third time, again because of the wood, and again it caused massive damage.
Are you kidding me?
That was the last straw, a direct sign from the universe that they should forget about wooden toys and instead have laser focus on plastic Lego building sets. But by this unfortunate accident, they stumbled upon the winning triple combination, the very thing that makes Lego what it is today. First of all, they had a unique, scalable, and patented product. Secondly, they were able to concentrate much better, meaning they didn't split their attention. And human resources, factory space, advertising, innovation. Basically everything between wooden and plastic toys assembled and taken apart. And thirdly, that they've been doing all this for a long time, for more than 60 years. Lego keeps adding new sets, but they're all compatible with each other. They are manufactured using technology so expensive, with molds so precise, that the margin of error is less than 0.0002 millimeters, which is less than 8 millionths of an inch. Thanks to this, a brick from 1958 will still click perfectly with one you buy in the store tomorrow. That's a real-life example of what it means to have a truly unique product, your essential foundation, if you want to be successful in marketing over the long term. Lego is still expanding into new markets today, opening branches in more countries. They already have over 1,000 of their own stores and hundreds of certified retailers. They're also constantly building new Legolands, which look like giant construction sets and where you can meet your favorite minifigures and life size. This is a real-life example of just how important distribution is, how you need to be available exactly when grandma and grandpa are out buying birthday gifts for their grandkids. Lego also bought licenses from Disney, Warner Brothers, and other film studios, which allowed them to start selling specialized fan sets like Star Wars, Harry Potter, Batman, or this one here, Minecraft. Analysts estimate that just this one branch can generate anywhere from 1/3 to 2/3 of their annual sales. That's how significant a part of Lego it is. Work together, take advantage of the strengths and brands of others. Don't always try to do everything yourself, just because you believe you know what's best. I keep telling you this. But what personally makes me happiest is that Lego went all in on content creation, on storytelling. You don't even have to look far for examples. Just check out their YouTube channel. They already have over 25 billion views on it, which they collected at 44,000 videos. That's an average of 560,000 views on every single video. But these aren't guides for building model kits. They have regular cartoons you can play for your kids instead of the bedtime story, cooking shows, TV series, remakes of famous blockbuster movies. Simply put, valuable and engaging content. They're so convinced about its impact on sales that the former vice president of marketing said,
"We used to be a toy manufacturer, but more and more, we're turning into a media company."
It's really no coincidence that with 20 million subscribers, Lego is the most watched YouTube channel of any brand, unless you count all sorts of influencers, musicians, production companies. Sub to me, forget Lego. And once the company already had experience with content creation, had purchased the necessary licenses, and had the confidence that they could handle it, they decided to tackle the hardest part. They started making feature-length films.
You're the special, and the prophecy states that you're the most important person in the universe. That's you, right?
Yes. That's me.
This bet paid off for them. Just the first Lego movie made over $470 million at the box office.
Everything is awesome.
In marketing speak, they convinced tens of millions of people to pay 5 to 10 euros for a ticket just to spend an hour and 40 minutes watching one big commercial about little yellow block-shaped guys. This film is a beautiful example of when you're not just a boring, annoying commercial break, during which viewers go to the bathroom or to the kitchen to grab something to eat. Become the reason why people turn on their TV, subscribe, or even head straight to the movies. Start creating and sharing, and I promise you that it will take you to places you never even knew existed. A bunch of new customers will discover you. You'll learn a ton. You'll experience a lot of beautiful moments. But even with nearly $500 million from the box office, Lego didn't stop there. They decided to milk it even more. For example, when the Lego Movie 2 was released, they launched their own movie maker set, where you could build a regular movie set, record scenes and photos on your phone, and then edit them in a simple app, add effects, and release your own movie, which you could send to friends and family. So not only did they make you buy that ticket for 10 euros, but also the building set for another 50 euros, which you then use to create free advertising for their main product. So just from this one example, you can get a sense of how they think, how a company that makes wooden toys and has burned down 3 times became one of the most valuable brands in the world. But if I had to say whether great content also has some downsides, if I had to guess someone who's definitely not happy about it, it would have to be the people at Shell, one of the biggest oil companies in the world. Back in the 1960s, they already sensed the huge potential in Lego and started working with them. That's what I was just telling you about a moment ago. They agreed that Lego would make construction sets for them with a Shell theme, gas stations and tankers, and Shell would offer them in dozens of countries at tens of thousands of gas stations, where millions of customers are served every day. That's distribution again. I keep telling you about that. Lego toys quickly became one of the most popular items. In their loyalty program, Club Smart, where you earn points for refueling and exchange them for discounts and rewards. Simply put, that partnership was worth tens of millions of euros a year and was among the most famous in business history, until they suddenly hit a wall. When Shell announced its plan to drill for oil in the Arctic, they really caught a lot of heat from environmentalists, led by Greenpeace. Greenpeace spot 120 kilograms of Lego, built an icy landscape out of it, and filmed a video showing it being flooded with oil. And since 50% of any atmosphere is a good music track, they set these shots to the melancholy song Everything's Not Awesome.
Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team. Everything is awesome when you're living on a dream.
It turned into a huge viral sensation, not just on social media, but also in the regular media all around the world. At first, LEGO dodged the issue. They didn't know how to respond, saying,
Greenpeace, don't drag us into this, all right?
After all, it was a lot of money. But again, it's hard to resist the power of high quality, valuable content. They themselves must know this better than any other brand. Such enormous social pressure came out of it. Online petitions and protests were organized in Legolands, and eventually the company backed down. Specifically, when their director announced that they would not be renewing the partnership, even though it had been so beneficial. But they deserve respect for not only fulfilling their commitment, but also for sticking with it to this day.
Awesome!
Everything is awesome.
But LEGO does a whole lot more than that. They build their own hotels, develop mobile apps, run a social network for kids under 13, and co-produce TV reality shows. As part of their ongoing search for new collaborations and expanding their customer base, they built life-size models of the Bugatti Chiron, Lamborghini Sian, McLaren P1, and all 10 Formula One cars. Each one is made up of 400,000 pieces and weighs about 1.5 tons. That's about twice as much as a real Formula car. But you won't get a speeding ticket for it. Top speed is 20 kilometers per hour. And all of it was made by skilled professionals from the Czech Republic. It took 26 expert builders 22,000 hours, which means half a year of work. Since 1978, when LEGO's patent on those tubes inside expired, their system has already been cloned more than 30 times. A lot of competitors, from tiny brands that no longer exist today, all the way to the biggest companies, like Hasbro, Mattel, Nintendo, or Kmart, wanted to take a bite out of their cake. Of course, LEGO, which started out as a clone of another product, is now dragging all of them to court over it. A bit ironic, isn't it? Of course, at those hearings, the competitors claim that.
That must be a mistake. We don't want to leech off anyone.
Even though you can clearly fit all those knockoffs perfectly together with real LEGO, as if they were originals. But the strongest shield LEGO has, the one that lets the company defend itself so successfully against all its competitors, its most powerful weapon, thanks to which they rake in billions of euros every year, and the reason why over the past 2 decades they've managed to grow tenfold. It's their perfectly oiled marketing machine. A combination of brand and product, partnerships and distribution, and engaging content. But no matter how successful you become, when you start to think you're invincible, never forget that nothing gets old faster than yesterday's success. That's exactly why you can't rest on your laurels. Even the biggest giant can stumble. Just see for yourself in this video about the huge scandal that happened to the famous KFC in Europe.